Well, today is going to be a fun one. I know you all have seen cheap running shoes on Amazon and probably wondered, are they any good? We've all heard the old saying, you get what you pay for. Well, today we're going to try to answer that very question. Are the WHITIN Max Cushion running shoes any good, and do you get what you pay for? Well, let's find out. Well, hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I want to let you know that I paid for these shoes with my own hard-earned money. WHITIN did not send me these shoes, believe it or not. I just thought, honestly, that this video may be very helpful to a lot of you out there. So let's talk about the stats of the WHITIN Max Cushion running shoes. We'll just call them the WHITIN shoes. First of all, it's kind of difficult because there's really not a lot of information out there about these shoes. Really, only what you can find on Amazon is what's out there. I didn't see anything else different on any other sources. But they are a neutral road running shoe. There is a lot of twist and flexibility to them. They are definitely a no frills type of shoe. So the stack height is one of those unknowns. It's not listed anywhere. However, with my years of running and years of reviewing shoes now here on YouTube, I feel pretty confident in saying that this is a medium stack shoe with a lower drop. Honestly, they feel really similar in stack height to the Rincon 3 from Hoka and also the Saucony Kinvara 13s. We'll kind of put those away because we're going to reference them later. So I would estimate the WHITIN running shoes here to be about a 24-25 millimeter in the front and then about a 28 to 30 millimeter in the rear for either a 4 or 5 millimeter drop. I feel pretty confident in saying that. I would say no more than 6 millimeters in the drop. But again, I feel pretty good about saying it's about a 5 millimeter drop. As for the weight, my men's size 11 weighed in at 10.6 ounces or 301 grams. That is definitely a good bit heavier than the Rincon 3 here and the Kinvara 13s. However, it's really not a terrible weight. It's closer to maybe the Clifton 9 from Hoka. And it feels decent underfoot. And for the fit, my men's 11 fit true to size, just like 11 and all these shoes that I've been talking about here, fit just fine. Hey, before we get to the nitty gritty about this WHITIN running shoe here, scroll down, click that thumbs up button if you're learning something. I would really appreciate it and it would help the channel. The upper of the WHITIN running shoes is an engineered mesh, and really, there are not a lot of overlays on this shoe. Honestly, the only overlays are right here on the lateral and on the medial side, kind of right below the lacing system. And they're very minimal. It's just going to provide a little bit of support to that upper. As for the breathability, it's decent. If we take a look at that tissue test, when I flipped that hair dryer on low, you can see there was a little movement from the tissue showing there is a little bit of breathability. When I switched that hair dryer to high, the tissue went up a little bit more. Again, not a ton. It's definitely not the most breathable shoe out there, and it's definitely not the worst that I've tested either. As for the toe box in the WHITIN running shoes here, it's ample in size. Honestly, it feels very similar to, well, the Hoka Rincon 3 that we talked about and some other Hokas. It feels about that same width in the front there. And the medial arch feels pretty good as well. Feels actually very similar to the Hoka here. It feels a little bit wider than maybe the Kinvara 13. This felt maybe just a little bit more narrow, but overall the fit throughout felt pretty darn good. The lacing system is really pretty darn good as well, honestly. I was kind of surprised. It's the lay flat laces, which feel very similar to the same laces in both the Rincon 3 and the Kinvara 13s. And I had no issues with them coming untied. They didn't cut into my foot at all, which is, partly due to this tongue, which is pretty darn good as well. It's padded. It's not overly padded where it's plush and just too much. And it's the right length as well. It's not slipping down inside the shoe. I had no issues with those laces digging into the top of my foot. It was very comfortable. I should also note though that tongue is not gusseted, but like I said, there was no issues from that. As for the heel collar in the rear of the shoe here, again, it's decently padded. It's not bad. It's not crazy plush like some other shoes, but it's also not minimalist. I would say it sits kind of right in between. Actually, it's very similar now that I'm feeling it to the Rincon 3 feel, a little bit more so than the Kinvara 13s here. And it feels good. It feels very good. Protects your ankle, protects your foot. The heel counter itself is pretty flexible. All of that combined with the laces, the tongue, provided a great lockdown. Really no issues whatsoever with heel slippage, discomfort, any of that, no Achilles rub. Honestly, I was kind of surprised. Overall, I gotta say, I have been very impressed with the upper of this WHITIN running shoe here. Really, it reminds me a lot of the Saucony Kinvara 13 in the fact that it's kind of a no frills, no technology, just bare bones, lets you run type of upper, and it feels good. So the midsole in the WHITIN running shoes is an EVA foam, which is very similar to the one used in the Rincon 3 here actually. In running, they felt very similar actually to the Rincon 3 and the Kinvara 13s over here. We'll get to more of that in just a moment. The oversized midsole of the WHITIN shoe here is very similar to feel and look. I mean, if you look at the two shoes, they look like a very similar footprint. And it features what they call their rocking chair technology, we'll say, or their rocking chair feature. It's the geometry of that midsole. And it's that same type of feel as Hoka's early stage Meta Rocker, where it's designed to get you through that transition from heel to toe as you go through the gait cycle and help you run efficiently. The midsole itself, it has WHITIN's what they call their active foot frame. Basically, it allows your foot to sit deep down inside of that midsole rather than on top of it, which gives you a little bit more stability when you're running and kind of allows the shoe to adapt to different shapes and sizes of feet in different gait cycles. As for the durability though of this WHITIN running shoe, I really do feel that this midsole is gonna go pretty flat, about 150 miles, 200 on the very high end. I've only got about 30 miles in these so far. And they feel pretty decent, but it definitely feels like it's going to compress and not last for a long time. However, honestly, with the price point, which we'll get to, it does that even matter. Overall, I've been surprised with the midsole from the WHITIN running shoe here. It feels very similar, in fact, to ride and feel to the Kinvara 13 here. Not the Kinvara 14. This definitely has more responsiveness to it, more midsole foam. This just feels a little better. But the 13, it's very similar in ride and feel, and the fact that it's just a no frills type of shoe that just lets you run, and it's not going to really assist you in any way, it's just going to let you run, and that's exactly what you get from the WHITIN running shoe. The outsole of the WHITIN running shoe here is a mixture of exposed EVA and a rubberized EVA. It's really not rubberized EVA, they call it that on Amazon, but it's really just rubber placement here. It's actually very similar if you look at the Rincon 3, very similar to that, and it does a good job. It really provided great grip on any paved surface, even unpaved, like well-groomed trails. I wore these on, they did just fine. I felt plenty confident. Now, I wouldn't really want to wear them in mud or snow, but on paved surface, in rain, perfectly fine. I will say though that the exposed EVA here on the front of the foot is definitely showing some wear. And like I mentioned, I only have 30 miles on these. The rubber looks really good. I'm not seeing wear there yet. So again, I kind of think the high end of durability for this outsole is probably going to be that 200 miles. Overall, it's a decent outsole and provides plenty of grip for a road shoe. Now this is where the WHITIN running shoes really shine, and that is the price. I paid $39 for them back in, I think it was May. They are still listed for $39.99 on Amazon, which is just, it's crazy. I mean, like, that's awesome. It's an awesome price. Look below in the description. There's a link. You can go purchase these shoes if you want to give them a try yourself. They're definitely worth it for 40 bucks. So the bottom line of the WHITIN running shoes is, honestly, I was quite surprised by them. I came into this little experiment really thinking these were gonna be junk and not worth the $40. I mean, you know, like I said, we've all heard that, you get what you pay for. But I'm happy to report that I was wrong. So to go back to the beginning and answer those questions, are they any good and do you get what you pay for? Well, I think we kind of answered the are they any good in the review. They're pretty darn good shoes for $40. No, they are not the most breathable. No, they are not the most responsive, bouncy midsole, the best grip. And they definitely don't have the most technology of any shoe. But they're $40 freaking. I mean, good grief, that is absolutely insane. They may only last you 150 to 200 miles, but there's plenty of shoes out there, looking at you, Rincon, that you know, will only get you to maybe about 350 miles, but yet cost 3 times as much money. So do you get what you pay for? Does that adage ring true? Well, sort of. If you want the latest technology, if you want the most breathable, form-fitting upper, if you want the most responsive, bouncy midsole, carbon fiber plate, Pebax plates, whatever it may be, this does not have that. Obviously, this is not gonna be the shoe for you if you were looking for that kind of stuff. But what you do get for $40 is a shoe that is gonna be perfect for someone that just wants to go run. They're not worried about PRs, crushing splits or segments. They just wanna go run. Really, they would be perfect for somebody on a tight budget. Maybe, honestly, if I was to meet someone that was thinking about getting into running, but they're not sure about it, I would absolutely recommend these shoes to that person. I mean, it's a lot easier to shell out $40 on something you're not sure about versus $150. Well, I hope this has been helpful. Hope this has maybe shown you that the cheap shoes really, at least in this case, aren't too bad. You know, they're not that bad at all. And if that's the case, please scroll down, click that thumbs up button, give the video a like. I would really appreciate that. Maybe click subscribe as well, and you'll see more content like this in the future. Well, now I want to know know, have you tried the WHITIN Max Cushion running shoes? They actually have like trail shoes and other types of shoes as well. Let me know below in the comments, have you tried them? What did you think of these here? You know, am I off base or do you agree? Well, thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you want to take a look at the full review of the Kinvara 13, because these are on sale right now, you can find them at other sites for anywhere from probably $60 to $70. Take a look on your screen right here. You can go take a look at that review. I definitely recommend it. And then I'll throw up a playlist of some other shoe reviews as well. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you in the next one.